Okay, get this. What if someone told you that the value of prayer could be proven with the same rock-solid certainty as 2 plus 2 equals 4? It sounds kind of out there, right? But that is the incredibly bold claim we're going to unpack today as we break down this really powerful allegory known as the fourth word. So the text just throws down the gauntlet right from the start. It literally promises to show us why prayer is important with the same certainty as a math problem. We're not talking about just taking something on faith here. The text is promising a logical proof. That is a seriously high bar to clear. And yeah, that brings us to the central question, doesn't it? How can something as personal and, spiritual as prayer be talked about with the cold, hard logic of math? Well, the text tries to answer this, not with equations, but with a story. So to make its case, the author tells us this tale of two servants who are sent on a long journey. It's a parable, and it's designed to make the logic feel really intuitive and something you can grasp right away. All right, so here's the setup. Picture this. A powerful ruler sends two of his servants off to a beautiful estate. He gives each of them 24 gold pieces and says, look, this is for your travel, for your ticket, for everything you're going to need. He also lets them know that there's a station about a day away, and from there, they can find all sorts of ways to travel, depending on how much money they have left. And this is where their paths totally split. The first servant, who the story calls the fortunate one, is smart about it. He spends a little bit, but he invests the rest in a way that he knows will please his master, and he actually grows his wealth a ton. The other servant, the luckless one, he does the exact opposite. He just blows 23 of his 24 gold pieces on gambling and having fun, and he shows up at the station with only one coin left. So at the station, the wise servant sees what a mess his friend is in and gives him this really crucial advice. He says, listen, use that last gold piece to buy a ticket. It's the only way you're going to avoid this horrible 2-month walk across a desert, all alone and starving. Besides, he says, our master is generous. He might even forgive you and help you out. The choice couldn't be more clear. And this is where the story kind of turns to us. The text asks, just straight up, would it make any sense at all to stubbornly waste that final, all-important gold piece on some quick-passing pleasure instead of on the ticket that saves your entire future? When you put it that way, the logic feels pretty hard to argue with. So we have the story. But of course, it's an allegory. So now let's peel back the layers and see how the text itself decodes every single part of this parable and reveals what it all really means. And here's the decoder key. The ruler, that's our creator. Those 24 gold pieces, that's the 24 hours we're given in a day. The beautiful farm at the end is paradise. And that station along the way, that's the grave. And the ticket, that one thing that saves you from that long, hard journey? Well, the text argues that represents the prescribed daily prayers. So now that we've decoded the parable, the text shifts gears. It moves from storytelling to a much more direct, almost mathematical argument. It's time to actually calculate the profit and loss here, the choice to pray or not to pray. And here's the absolute core of the argument. That ticket for this huge journey, the prescribed prayers, it cost almost nothing. The text calculates it as just 1 hour out of every 24. That's it. It's this tiny little sliver of our daily capital that's spent to secure the entire journey to the hereafter, leaving the other 23 hours for our worldly life. So the text then poses this question of just pure reason. How could any rational person look at this trade-off, 1 hour for an eternal reward, and think, nah, that's a bad deal? And to make this point even sharper, it brings in another really powerful analogy. Think about it like a lottery. Someone might spend half their money on a lotto ticket that has a 1 in 1,000 chance of winning, but that same person might refuse to spend just 1/24 of their capital, that single hour, for what the text calls an eternal treasury with a 99 out of 100 chance of success. From a pure risk-reward point of view, the author is arguing the choice is an absolute no-brainer. And the perks don't even stop there. The text says that beyond just being the ticket, prayer gives you immediate benefits. It brings a sense of ease to your spirit, your heart, and your mind. It's not physically hard to do, and if you have the right intention, it can actually elevate everything else you do, turning your entire temporary life into something with permanent, lasting value. So, what's the bottom line? What's the ultimate takeaway from this whole intricate story? Well, the text boils it all down to one final, really potent image. It all comes back to the ticket, which, as we know, represents prayer. It's framed as this small, totally manageable price, just one of our 24 daily gold pieces, that buys safe passage to an infinitely valuable destination. And this is where the whole thing leaves us. That one last gold piece, that 1 hour you set aside for prayer. It isn't just a train ticket. The text reframes it as something way more powerful. It's the key to an endless treasury. It's asking us to think not about what we're spending, but what we're unlocking. A tiny key for an infinite reward. So going back to that first mathematical claim, is it a price worth paying?